Lawyers of Reddit, which fictional villain would you have the easiest time defending? Bucky Barnes/Winter Soldier. I think the insanity defense, though it's not called that anymore, would actually apply here. Get a group of certified expert psychiatrists and doctors together, get their testimony/depositions, set a competency hearing. In the event he is deemed competent, use witness testimony in the USSR/Hydra documentation to prove he wasn't in charge of his actions. Boom. Done. Robbie Rotten. I mean, his crimes mostly just aren't. Edit. Did none of you see the word mostly? Does Dr. Doom need legal defense? As the ruler of his own country, does diplomatic immunity cover all of his actions? Most of the old school Scooby-Doo villains, they didn't really do anything other than scare people off of private property. When I was a kid I remember being devastated in the movie Big Daddy when the social worker took Zach and Cody away from Adam Sandler, but after watching it again as an adult, although still sad, I'm thinking yeah of fucking course they're going to take him away from this stranger. So the social worker from Big Daddy is a layup case. In my jurisdiction, I would say Damien from The Omen. Minimum age for delinquency adjudication is 12, and in the first movie he's 5, so he couldn't be tried for any of his evil doings. Mojo Jojo. Definition: Lex Luthor, 99% of the time uses henchmen who won't talk, and he can definition pay my exorbitant bills. I could mount a pretty solid wrongful death case on behalf of the boy who cried wolf. Is there a mute supervillain? Dr. Doofenshmirtz. All of his inventions ultimately only end up stealing or damaging the creations of two kids, so he could probably be let out with a theft charge. Really, he's just a lonely, unloved man trying to be seen in the world. Good thing he has his therapy platypus. Krank from Emperor's New Groove. He does technically kidnap Cusco, but I think we could get his sentence way reduced. I think he could charm the jury, or completely blow up his own case in the stand. It could be a fun surprise. The Wicked Witch of the West. She was angry at Dorothy, but then again Dorothy dropped a house on her sister, and then grave robbed the witch's sister's body, with Glinda's help. The shoes were rightfully the witch's anyway, presuming she was her sister's only heir and her sister died intestate. All the witch wanted was for Dorothy to apologize and return the slippers she stole. Everything else that happened was the result of the witch's reasonable attempts to defend herself and her property against Dorothy's killing, theft, and trespass. I want to defend the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Rumpelstiltskin did nothing wrong. Not a villain, but a scruffy looking scoundrel, Han Solo. Doesn't matter if he shot Greedo first, it was self-defense. At least it would be where I live. Your state's laws may vary. Greedo was the one who pulled a gun on Han. Greedo was abducting Han against his will to take to Jabba, a shot caller/mob boss on Tatooine. While Han had debts to Jabba, owing someone money isn't necessarily a crime. The bears in Goldilocks. Or is Goldilocks the villain here? Otto Octavius, Acker, Doc Ock. The neural interface affected his mind. He couldn't do much about it. It was his gallium arms that harmed people, not him. I'm not actually a lawyer, but this would be hard to go up against, right? Define easiest time defending. If you define it as I think they have an easy case to win, then probably Gaston, since hunting a beast that is a threat to members of your town isn't a crime. Remember, Beast did lock up Belle's dad, and there's no reason to believe that Beast couldn't go evil again during the inevitable divorce. If you mean the one I'm going to most enjoy defending, then pick the richest one. It's a criminal client. Write me a check and don't call me every 10 damn minutes from the jail, and I'm a happy camper. Arnold, but the bad guy attorney in B-movie would have killed that case if any actual lawyering occurred. He went to court against a bug and an insane woman. Arnold, but Gaston. The Beast is basically kidnapping people, and you can argue he is violent. Heck, the entire village was on Gaston's side and would acquit him. I think it would be fun defending Saul from Better Call Saul. Willy Wonka. That release was fucking ironclad. It's kind of scary how little of what went on in the Truman Show would actually be illegal in the real world. There's a few fringe cases, most notably actively preventing Truman from leaving once he realized he was in a fake world and expressed a desire to escape, but pretty much everything up to that point is very legal, and it would be hard to press charges against the director or anyone else for the basic premise of raising a child in a reality show without their knowledge. Smog. He had to have earned squatters' rights be considered an adverse possessor of the property after all that time. And the House of Durin did abandon the property. I think he had a right to defend his home. Edit, plus statute of limitations on that whole burning the city thing when he first arrived. Edit 2, you are all correct about adverse possession. Corrected and thank you. Ursula, that was freedom of contract all day. Norman Bates, could not be an easier insanity plea, and if I had to go to trial, I could just find one juror who hated his mother. Probably Palpatine. Republic law doesn't apply, because he can bend it. Also as Supreme Chancellor he probably has immunity. Imperial law doesn't apply either, because I assume he isn't ashayable there. And real world law could also be tricky. All his dirty work was done by his students, who are conveniently dead. Good luck proving they did anything on his orders. Being a Sith Lord isn't a crime, because freedom of religion. His fight against the GD was self-defense as it was an attack against him with religious motives. Even the killing of Hego Damask would be impossible to prove as there were no witnesses and nobody even knew they were on Coruscant together. And the creation of the Empire was approved by the Senate. He didn't even abduct Maul, he was given to him. The most realistic thing would be conspiracy, to destroy the Republic or something. But it sounds like a conspiracy theory, to claim there was this big Sith rule of two thing going on over centuries. And even if it got to trial somehow, if it is a jury trial the opposition would have a very hard time. As a lawyer, I can guarantee that a Catwoman would present well to a jury. She can even win over Batman. Catwoman never kills, and she's definitely not evil. She mostly commits property crimes and does an occasional good deed. Catwoman also has a tragic and sympathetic backstory. Depending which version you read, she's suffered from catastrophic head injuries, been forced into, and escaped from, the sex trade as well as a violent pimp. Growing up, Catwoman lost both her parents, including an abusive father, to suicide and alcohol. She was homeless at times, and also confined to harsh conditions at an orphanage. Despite her tough circumstances, she would always go to great lengths to protect her younger sister. These days, she's just trying to get by in a cold, cruel world, and exposing corruption in the process. Easy acquittal. Tougher but maybe possible to get her a medal for civic achievement. Tulkinghorn from Bleak House, Old Man Potter from It's a Wonderful Life, Cruella de Vil. I would never take a case involving Dr. House or Sherlock Holmes though. I feel like Ganondorf would be a nice pick. According to the laws of the Hylian world, he's just, like, supposed to be doing evil stuff all the time. The curse has to be fulfilled throughout generations. There's always a hero, an evil person and a goddess. Kinda like a contract, huh? The Joker. Your Honor, my client who is clearly suffering from schizophrenic delusions and various other mental issues was *punChed in the face by a billionaire in a rubber gym suit. And worse, the Gotham City Police Commissioner asked him to do it. Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. He killed one dude, but there's zero evidence of that. All he did was use his own company's research to try to create a new weapon. Maybe not particularly moral, but he didn't do anything wrong until Lang and Pym stole from him and destroyed his entire office building. After that he did some property damage, but Pym even said that the shrinking tech could affect his mind, so there's a completely reasonable defense that his behavior was affected beyond what he's aware of. Furthermore, since Pym created the tech and knew full well that it could affect the mind, and didn't do anything to warn Darren Cross about it. It's really his fault. Sid from Toy Story is a sadistic kid, but he's a juvenile, and homicide of toys isn't a thing, so that's always helpful. Kreese from Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. No defense needed, since law enforcement basically doesn't exist in that universe. Ursula. Basic contract action. Ariel may have been a minor, but that only makes the contract voidable, not invalid. At no point did Ariel ask to void the contract. Instead, her father decided to sign his own contract. King Triton is a sophisticated party who entered into a binding contract. King Triton was the one who was willing to throw his kingdom away to bail out his favorite daughter. Cruella de Vil. She would be her Instagram fashion sensation. She wouldn't need defending now, because no one knows the shady behind the scenes of even the biggest fashion companies. What's 101 Dalmatians compared to a few sweet shops? Agatha Harkness. What did she do that was so wrong? Exactly. The worst I can come up with is that she tried to stop someone with a notoriously out of control, destructive history from continuing to mind rape an entire town of people who were clearly traumatized by it. Scar. Yes, he murdered his brother, attempted murder his nephew, turned his entire family into slavery, but he's a cat. Just show some of his baby picture to the jury, a few video of him trying to eat Zazu, and after a few he would walk as a free cat.